He's been an award-winning media personality and producer. As a speaker, he's empowered over 1 million people from the stage. Now one of the leading business coaches and brand experts is taking over the world of on-demand audio. It's the Business Bully Podcast. Now here's the business bully himself, Dave Anderson.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Dave Anderson. Hope all is well. This is a replay of part 1 of what I did on the BlackCEO Morning Show. Make sure you check them out at blackceotribe.com. I'm going to be bringing you long and short form stuff, more speeches, more quick interactive things so that you get a better idea of the content that I'm bringing. So make sure you check it out. And here it is. Hope you enjoy it.
So let's bring on our speaker, guys. Now, you all know him as the Business Bully. You also may know him as a guest co-host here on the BlackCEO Morning Show. But let me tell you something. I know him as an innovator. I know him as someone who gets things going. I know him as somebody who is an action taker. I know him as somebody who does not let anyone get in their way of success. Dave Anderson is a master business coach. He's also a marketing strategist. Let me tell you something about Dave. He is the creator of on-demand radio and an early innovator of the podcast. Dave is not new to this. He also has spoken to over 1 million people from the stage. 1 million people. Imagine that. That's some of your dreams out there. Dave has done it. He's done it. He's also the author of 10, not 1, not 2, 10 Amazon #1 bestsellers. So let me tell you something. When I'm bringing Dave to the stage, I don't want you to think of this guy who talked about what great chili he made. I don't want you to think of the guy that just said, "Hey, he can outcook anybody on the show," and he's won awards for that. I wanted to bring that up. That's why I'm bringing that up, because I want him to invite me to have some chili with him. But I want you to understand, this man can bring it. He has also started businesses. He has also helped other people succeed in business, and he can help you. So what I want you guys to do right now is get your pen, get your pad ready. Get ready to get amped up. You can't sit still, because Dave ain't going to let you sit still. So give a nice BlackCEO Morning Show welcome to none other than Dave, the Business Bully Anderson. Dave, welcome to the show.
Wow. With that introduction, I got to bring it today, huh? Lord have mercy. Hey, man, I got no choice, because you know what? I look at it like this. This might be the last time y'all let me on this show. So I'm going to do my best to make this thing as positive as possible, but I'm going to start checking y'all in your necks real quickly. First, before I even get started, can I get a mic check? Am I good? Am I good? Do I need to turn my levels up? Cool?
Good. You good.
You good.
Awesome. Well, all right. Here's the thing. As I was sitting back thinking about how we're going to address, content, and cash, and conversations, and keeping our businesses sexy as Black CEOs, the one thing that I've noticed when it comes to our people, and I can't speak as proficiently about other groups as I can about our people, because I've been Black all my life. I got a 40-year track record of undefeated of being Black. I love being Black. My Blackness is everything. I don't apologize for it. I don't water it down. I'm not a person of color. I am blackity, 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 black. I'm the Black guy that people get nervous about, not because I'm going to rob them, but I'm going to rob them of their excuses. And so the one thing that I want to do before we even really get deep into this is I want to give you what you have not given yourself. So we're going to start with the most important thing that you need in order to get started as a Black CEO. So I'm going to need y'all to get your pens together, because my good friend Trevor I says note takers are money makers. So I'm going to let y'all get your pens down, because I'm about to tell y'all what it is that you need. I, Dave Anderson, being of sound mind and body, hereby decree from this moment on and forthwith, you have permission to be great. Because I understand that some of you, whether you admit it to yourself or not, have been waiting to have permission to be great. You're lining up the things. You're waiting for your stars to align. You're waiting for Ed McMahon and Dick Clark to knock on your door and bring you that $1 million check. Well, they're both dead, so that ain't happening. So you're going to have to be great without it. And greatness is not something that you get by osmosis. Greatness is something you get when nobody's looking. Greatness is what happens when you actually get your nice manicured nails dirty. Greatness is what happens when you are consistent, even when people are telling you no, over and over and over again. Greatness is happening when you're able to push through, when you've got more months at the end of your money. And if you're a Black CEO and you're truthful, you had those moments. And if you haven't, you're a miracle, and I'd love to meet you because maybe you should be talking and I should sit down. But really, I'm going to need you to stop being so afraid to be great. We have a habit of Black CEOs of not being as authentic as we could be because we're worrying about respectability politics. We're worried about professionalism. We're worrying about what mama's going to say. Oh, I'm going to put it all out here. I'm Usher today. If I'm going to tell it, then I got to tell it all. You worried about what your mama going to say? You worried about what your brother and them going to say? You're going to worry about, oh, well, there's so much competition out here. You are afraid to stretch because you're worried about people's thoughts that you'll never be able to control. Unless you're Professor X from the X-Men, you cannot manipulate the thoughts of other people. And whether you succeed or whether you fail, write this down. Whether you succeed or whether you fail, here's a newsflash. I'm getting something for Ruben in the newsroom. Wait. Yep. Oh, they're still talking about you anyway. People are going to talk. I am a huge believer of giving people something to talk about, and it's called this work. I'm not going to stop. You want to know why? I'm under a tremendous amount of pressure. If I could just use this platform as my own personal therapy couch, I'm under a tremendous amount of pressure. You know, I have a wonderful, beautiful wife. I've got 2 darling children, daughters at that. I have one that's 18 years old, freshman, and she goes to Howard. I have another who's 2 years old, and she goes to daycare. And all of these people are depending on me to deliver. So your thoughts about Dave Anderson don't even factor into my world. Whether you like me or you hate me, I'm going to need you to learn to love it because it ain't going nowhere. And to quote Ric Flair, it's the best thing going today. Woo! You've got to get yourself that pumped up. Now, I know what you've been fed. Your teachers have told you. Your mama done told you. Your daddy done told you. Your praying grandmama at West Bedford Baptist Church done told you. You need to be humble. You need to sit down. You should be seen and not heard. You shouldn't make any noise. You shouldn't draw any attention to yourself. You should make sure you blend in. Well, I hate to break it to you. Your mama, your preacher, your pastor, your grandpappy, your Uncle Skippy who's drunk with Ripple still are all wrong and I'm right. The only way for you to break through is for you to be who you have been called to be, and that is a leader. See, the funny thing is, for those of us who are spiritual, and I'm not going to start preaching, but I feel like it's important because I feel like it's a good reference point for most people. For those of you who are spiritual, you've probably heard that song, This Little Light of Mine, I'm going to let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm going to let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Well, that song comes from a passage in the Bible that says, do not hide your light under a bushel. But what do? We dim our lights to meet what everybody else in the market is doing. We dim our light to meet the expectations of our peers because we don't want to get too far ahead of them because then we're afraid we're going to be left alone out here. We dim our light because we are afraid of what happens when we get to where it is we say we're going and then somebody finds out that you're an imposter. When truly, you're not an imposter. That's called imposter syndrome. It's a psychological condition, and a lot of Black entrepreneurs suffer from it. You have got to stop acting like you aren't good enough because if you weren't good enough, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be in transition. You would do the easiest thing in the world to do, and that's get a job. So we've got to start treating ourselves a little bit better than we've been treating ourselves. And that comes from discovering your voice. I'll never forget in 2010, I was having a conversation with my employer at the time. His name is Les Brown. And we were talking. He says, you know what, I want to reach 1,000 people. I want to change 1,000 voices. And I said, well, Les, you've reached millions. I said, why not do something different? He said, I want to create a speaker program. I said, cool. Let's call it 10,000 Voices of Hope because that's what people need right now. And he said, I said, look, it worked for Obama. And I said, you can tell them, say yes to less. You know, you can tell them less is more. You have to be willing to, even when you've already had successes, Not be afraid to stretch yourself beyond what makes you comfortable. I'm sorry. Let me slow this down. Some of you have hit a level, and you sound like these trap rappers my daughter listens to that I like to listen to in private because I'm not going to cop to it in public. But there's this one song I love. The dude says, I'm on a new level. I'm on a new level. Put these haters in the dirt. And I'm like, yes, I'm on a new level. And then after a while, that new level begins to wear off. If you're a great black CEO, write this down. If you're a great black CEO, you're constantly suffering from Super Mario syndrome. Well, Dave, what is Super Mario syndrome? I'm so glad you asked. Super Mario syndrome is something that I created when I was a kid. My brother and I had a Nintendo. We had cut lawns, worked odd jobs, whatever we had to do to get this Nintendo. So we get the Nintendo and we get Super Mario. We're going through the levels and the song comes on. And so you're beating, you're beating the Koopa monster and you're jumping over the thing. You're hitting the bridge with an axe, and then the princess says, "I'm sorry, Mario, but our princess is in another castle." So then you're going through the world again. And then you're doing it again, and sure enough, this chick who looked just like the princess, that monster that looked just like Koopa, on a different level, is telling you, I'm sorry, Mario, but our princess is in another castle. There's something that you have not hit yet, but you got comfortable because you beat a lower level. And that lower level thinking is keeping you from making the millions that you deserve. And it's not the big things. A lot of times we think it's the big things, and it's not the big things. It's the small little nuances that allow us to get to where we need to get. I'll give you an example. When I had taken over the Ricky Smiley Morning Show, it was a local show in Dallas, Texas, and I came in as an associate producer. And so I would do, bits and best of shows and things of that nature. Well, one day the producer got himself to a level where he felt like he could leave and fly here and fly there. At the time we were in Dallas, we weren't in Atlanta yet. And so he would fly back and forth to Atlanta, and one day he caught himself slipping. But I wasn't slipping because I was ready. And so I made my best of shows. I did what I had to do. And sure enough, that guy got fired and I replaced him. Now, there were 4. No, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Now there's 5 guys before me who had this position, guys and gals. And they couldn't get Ricky in the syndication. And so finally, I said, let's do this. And we made ourselves a plan, and we got Ricky in the syndication by hitting the streets, reaching the people, touching them, doing outreach, answering every email, creating a website that was just for the brand, not for the radio station, but for the brand itself. And in there we had a chat room. Keep in mind, the only social media that was out at the time was MySpace, because Black Planet had just died and MySpace was popping. And if you wasn't in my top 8, we wasn't really messing with each other. Somebody come with me. I'm telling my age. Anyway and anyhow, I knew that we had reached a level when we had gotten 3 markets. It was St. Louis, Augusta, and Dallas that we had gotten. Then we got Miami. We got Miami, and everything started to fall. So we get Detroit, and this one, and that one, and the third. And one day around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Ricky Smiley calls my phone. Now, I'm dead to the world at 2 o'clock in the afternoon because I've been up since 1 o'clock in the morning to start at 5 a.m., to end at 10, to then deal with affiliates until about 12 o'clock, when I would go home and sleep till about 6, and then, eat dinner, exercise, hang out, and then go back to work. And Ricky calls me and he says, "Hey, listen, I got some news for you." And I'm like, "All right, what's up, Ricky?" He says, "Hey, the company wants to buy my website." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, how much do they want to buy it for?" He said, "Man, they want to buy it for $1 million." I said, "Ricky, don't sell it." He said, "Oh man," like I'm his daddy, telling him he can't go to the movies. And he said, "Why don't you want me to sell it? It's $1 million for a damn website." I said, "But Ricky, I built that site. And if the company wants to buy it for $1 million, how much you think they're going to make off of it?" And from the time we had that conversation until I left Ricky, he did not sell that website. When I left, he sold it for about 1.2. Because sometimes people don't look at the long game. Just because you have an opportunity and you're innovative doesn't mean that you automatically need to sell out right away, but you have to stretch yourself, and you have to be able to leverage your audience. And what I did with that website was something that most people were not able to do at the time and still can't do now with Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, all of these, Snapchat, all of them. They don't know how to leverage an audience because they get caught up on the size of the number, not the number who are engaged. Don't get caught up in your followers. Get caught up in your tribe. Your tribe are those people who continue to show up. Even with BlackCEO, you got the same people constantly coming in. You see Leah Jones every day. You see Michelle Barnett every day. Like, you see people who are there. Now, there's thousands and thousands of people who listen who may be out on the periphery, but you have a core group of people, and those people are the core, the nucleus of the tribe. And sometimes we don't take care of the nucleus of the tribe. Man, I had that thing rocking, right? Where if you were in that chat room consistently, we would fly you in for meet and greets. We did Mary J. Blige meet and greets. We did T.I. meet and greets. We did anything we could possibly do to leverage the audience and make sure that the audience was completely happy with their experience with us, because that is where your power is. And when you know where your power is, then you can leverage it. Also, we've got to stop asking for things. We're asking a lot, like we're Oliver Twist. Please, sir, might I have more? No. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show up with more value than anybody else you can deal with. And because of that, by proxy, you're automatically going to want to work with me, because if this is what I'm giving you for free, imagine what you're going to get when you pay me. We have got to start commanding more of ourselves. Okay. I didn't want to have to do this, but I'm going to have to do this. We're blocked by tradition, people. We're blocked by tradition. We do things a certain way for so long because that's all we've ever done, and we don't go beyond that. Let me give you an example. I get my hair cut maybe every week and a half, 2 weeks, and what I notice is that the majority of folks in a barbershop will come in after stopping off at a McDonald's or an ATM, and, you know, they eat their food, and then they'll get their haircuts, and they'll pay their barber cash. But what winds up happening is they're actually, the customers are spending more money than they normally would because they have to stop down, then get cash, then buy something to break the certain amount of money that they have in order to pay the barber. Why is it we don't, when we have barbershops, do what makes sense? We're in an 88% cashless society. Most people don't carry cash. Plastic is what rules. So if you want to make more money, and I've done this with barbershops across the country, if you want to make more money, accept different forms of payments. If that means that you get a credit card processor, if that means you get a Stripe or a PayPal or a Square, you're going to make more money end over end, because what's going to happen is you're going to get a bigger tip because they didn't have to stop to go to the ATM. We don't think that way. And it goes down to the way consumers operate as well, because we've been conditioned. When my daughter, before she went to college, we would go out at least twice a month, and we go to the movies. We like superhero movies, comic book stuff, sci-fi, blood and gore. That's our thing. That's how we bond. It's a daddy-daughter thing. Don't knock it till you tried it. Anyway and anyhow, I feel like it's important to teach your children things that they need to be aware of, so that when you're gone, those lessons will then resonate with them in their brains. And we go to the movie theater. And I say, watch what happens when we walk in. So we walk into the movie theater. The first thing you see is the line. And they got the ropes all tied off and partitioned. And there's 3 snot-nosed, pimple-faced kids behind the counter, you know, taking tickets and whatnot. These people are standing in line. And on both sides of the movie theater, there are these kiosks where you could have either pre-ordered your tickets or just swipe your card, get your tickets, and bypass the line. They're always wide open because people are so stuck in tradition, they don't look beyond. There was an experiment where they had monkeys, right? And they put monkeys in a cage, and they put bananas on the top of a ladder inside that cage. And whenever a monkey would reach out and climb up to get one of those bananas, they would get splashed with water, or a small electric shock would be given to them. And so what wound up happening was all of the monkeys that went up and climbed and got the banana didn't get the shock or the water thrown on them. It was the monkeys down below. And so after a while, the other monkeys became conditioned to say, you know what, don't go climbing up that ladder to get that banana because we ain't getting splashed and shocked for you. And so even after they switched out all the monkeys, so there was none of the original monkeys left, that programming had been there and been ingrained, and nobody knew why they were doing it. They were just doing it because that's how it's always been done. Don't let your business fall victim to tradition. You've got to learn to not only be a Black CEO, but a Black CIO, Black Chief Innovation Officer. I will find different ways to innovate. Nutrisystem hired me in 2014, and I was there to handle retention for them, customer retention. And one of the things that I did was I started digging. And what I found was that there were all of these videos on YouTube. And these videos on YouTube were being about people unboxing. I don't know if you've ever heard of unboxing. That's when somebody takes a product or service from a company, be it big or small, and they pull everything out of the box and they talk about their experience. And then I noticed that there were a lot of videos about people's journey on the products. And then I went to Nutrisystem's YouTube page. This is a multi-million-dollar corporation. They own the South Beach Diet. They have facilities all over the country and in Canada. And yet and still, I'm sitting at, 2.5 million views on YouTube, thousands of subscribers. They had 33,000 views on their YouTube page. I'm one man without a corporate machine behind me, just a camera and a big mouth. They are a corporation, and they had 33,000 views on their YouTube. And I said to him, I said, why are you leaving money on the table? And he said, oh, we're not. Look at we're doing better quarter over quarter. They're hitting me with all these numbers. I'm sitting back laughing at them. And I said, look at your YouTube. I said, it's pathetic. I said, the number 2 search engine on the planet is YouTube. And I said, you got all these other people profiting off of this company who don't work for this company just by buying a box of your stuff and unboxing it, and they're getting hundreds of thousands of views. I'm like, we got a facility downstairs where we can shoot some stuff. Let's start shooting some videos. Let's hit them with those 3 magic words: comment, rate, subscribe. Let's put our voice in the marketplace. And they said, okay. And then sure enough, millions and millions of hits later, I'm hailed the conquering hero. And then here comes the rub. I went in and I said to them, we're leaving more money on the table. Oh, Dave, you can't do anything beyond YouTube. What are you talking about? It doesn't make any sense. I said, listen, the 2 largest groups in America who have weight problems are Black people and Latino people, and I don't see any of them represented in our marketing and our advertising. And they said, oh, well, middle America. I said, middle America is one small section. Those people are going to die. I said, I'll prove it to you. Your number 1 spokesperson right now is Marie Osmond. I said, I'm almost going to be 40, and I don't remember Marie Osmond. I know she has a brother, Donnie, and I know historically they were like the white Mormon Jacksons. I get that, but I don't resonate with them. And I'm going to be the audience that replaces your middle America old as dirt audience. And they said, well, just who do you suggest? And I said, Oprah. And they laughed. They said, well, we can't afford Oprah. I'm like, how do you know? You haven't even approached her. Y'all got a PR firm that goes out here, hollers at Kelly Whip for this one, that one, the other. Why don't you approach Oprah? Oh, no, we're not going to do that. I said, okay, fine. Too ambitious for you. I get it. You guys are scared. Let's go to Steve Harvey. Oh, no, we can't do that. I said, yes, we can. So I called Steve Harvey. And Steve Harvey said, yeah, I'll do it for 1.2. I'll come in 5 days, shoot all the stuff they want to shoot. I'll do 2 appearances, I will get it done. So I went back to him and said, look, this is what Steve says he's going to do. They passed on it. Steve went on to do Strayer University, Think Like a Man 2, Drop. All this other stuff started happening, and Steve was the hottest commodity. So all that's going on. So then I said to him, listen, I said, we can get Nene Leakes. Oh, no, Nene Leakes is too diversive. She's too, and they were trying to find a nice euphemism for ghetto, so they kept, and I said, it's okay, I got you. I said, what I'm telling you is y'all need some color up in here. And they didn't hear me. They said, well, we tried it with Janet Jackson, and I laughed. I literally dropped to the floor, and I laughed. And they couldn't figure out why I was laughing. And I said, any black person born after 1975 knows that Janet is a yo-yo dieter. When she's working, she gets in shape. When she's not, she blows right back up. You could have saved that $30 million, but you won't pay Steve 1.2. And yet and still, you know, there's a reason that Weight Watchers made that call to Oprah. You see what I'm saying? And Steve has D-Herbs. You know, like sometimes you got to understand that even if you have a vision, other people won't see it, and that's okay. Because the people who matter, they will see it. But you got to be okay with innovating in spite of the backlash of tradition. You know, another thing that's going to help you when it comes to leveraging your voice to millions of people is taking full advantage of the technology. Full advantage. Not just the things that you like. Because I know some folks really love Facebook Live. Some folks really love, you know, getting on Instagram. You've got to get everywhere that your audience is and be diligent with it. Do live video. Make memes. Tell funny stories. Start engaging. Understand the rules of engagement. The reason that I've sold so many books when it comes to social media for business is because they had not been written. You know, there was no Snapchat guide before I came along. I wrote a guide for Pokemon Go, and the black community looked at me like I was crazy until they started making money by turning their brick-and-mortar businesses to PokeGens. I'm not afraid to sit there and ask the question. I have a great research tool called My Teenage Daughter, and I go to her and I said, listen, show me how the Snapchat thing works. And literally for months, every day after her homework, I'm in her bedroom, you know, sitting there like trying to finagle Snapchat and say, how can I do this? And I'm taking meticulous notes from my then 16-year-old daughter about how Snapchat works. And if you're in a certain area, you can do this. And you need to make sure that you're, you know, angling your pictures this way because that's going to get the maximum result. And you need to tag people like this. And you need to keep in mind that this is only going to last a certain amount of time. And I'm like, just like a countdown on a website. So I'm writing all this stuff down, and then I pop out a book. You know, because we are afraid of what we don't understand, and what we don't understand is costing us millions. And I want us to be a little bit more comfortable with being uncomfortable. I want us to be the dissonant voice in a room full of, let's keep doing it the old way. The reason that I'm able to go on an Ivy League campus in a pair of jeans, some Chucks, and a hoodie is because what I say is more valuable than my appearance. Because sometimes we get so caught up in how we look that we don't realize that our true value is how we serve. And when you start serving people in a way that is authentic and is extremely valuable to their bottom line, they won't care that you wear a mohawk and a big beard and a T-shirt and some jeans. And I ain't compromising. When I did BlackCEO Philadelphia, we called it BullyCon, which did not stand for the business bully. It stood for Black, unapologetically living and loving yourself, controlling our narratives. I told Shay and Trevor, don't you come up in here with no suits on. Don't do it, because that ain't how I get down. And I don't want people to think that the only way you can be successful is by wearing a suit. Now, will I put a suit on? Absolutely, if I feel like it. But here's what's really going to trip you out. No one has ever asked Steve Jobs why he doesn't wear a suit. No one's ever asked Mark Zuckerberg why he doesn't wear a suit. I sat down with Gary Vaynerchuk, who's worth $250 million, and no one has ever asked him why he doesn't wear a suit. So guess what? Until you ask them, you can't ask me. Because I'm not here to put on airs and nice affairs for you to feel good about what it is that you are comfortable with. I'm here to spit these bars and give you this work. I'm here to help you make a difference in your business. And that does not come by being respectful. It comes by showing up and realizing that you have a voice that is here and that is now and that is ever present in your life and in the lives of others who are waiting for you to show up in your own greatness. You know, so for me, it's extremely important that we have these conversations and that we talk about what really matters to us, because what winds up happening is we get caught up in peripheral stuff that does not matter. And I want us to get more caught up in making things absolutely happen and making things that are going to make it count in the long run for us. And that, for me, is so important, you know. And so, yeah, that's for today, that's where I am going to stop. But I did want to make sure I gave these guys something for value. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to give you something absolutely free. It is my digital grab bag. It comes with so many different gems. It's got over 6 hours of real good content. It has amazing books in it, video content, the whole nine. I got Brand Bully in there. I got a bunch of different books in there. I think even a copy of Pitch Close Upsell Repeat, which is still on the bestseller list 2 years later, is in this. So I'm going to need you to go to bit.ly/bullybag, bit.ly/bullybag, and get that knocked out. My name is Dave Anderson, and as always, I encourage you to get out of your feelings and get into your business. I yield the floor.
All right, Dave, man, you brought it from beginning to end, brother. That's why we're going to have Dave back. We're going to have Dave back, so y'all got to make sure that you're listening to Dave Anderson. I told you he was an innovator, didn't I tell you that? And he brought it. Now, if you have a question or a comment for Dave, and I know y'all do, hit *2 right now. Hit *2, and we're going to give you a chance to talk to Dave in a minute. But first, I want to go to Dr. Stephanie D. Barnes, because I know you have a question or comment for Dave.
Thanks, Dave. That was really inspiring to just hear kind of all the different ways that you've thought outside of the box and pushed others to do so as well. And, one of the things that I always wonder is, how can we, in our businesses, sometimes, we get to think in a certain way and we get lulled by our present reality or our current reality. What are some ways that, we can kind of inject innovation in our own thinking and be able to have that as a common way of our operations, just kind of injecting that innovation and pushing our own selves outside of the box?
Well, the first thing I will say is I appreciate what you said, and I'm honored by that, so thank you, first of all. Second of all, I think it is important that we realize that thinking outside of the box is the most dangerous thing you could ever do, and here's why. If you're thinking outside of the box, that means your body's still in the box, so you're trapped. There's a whole bunch of people right now in prisons who are saying, oh, my mind is free. It's just my body in prison. Well, guess what? I hate to break it to you, but your mind is in your body. And so you're still stuck. What I believe is you take the box and you make a bunch of nice little greeting cards, footstools, door stops, bookmarks out of that box. And here's what I always do. This is what I do, and this is the only time I ever look at competition, unless I'm being paid to do a perceptual study or somebody is paying me as a coach to analyze the competition in a way that's going to show them analytically what it is they need to do. Here's what I do. I look at the traditional commonalities in what everybody's doing in a particular field, and then I do the exact opposite. I do the thing that's never been done before. As much as I am every bit Puff Daddy, I'm also every bit P.T. Barnum, and I'm also every bit Steve Jobs. And I feel like that's how you have to be. You have to have a certain level of showmanship. You have to have a certain level of vocal acumen, and you have to have a certain level of innovation. And you do that by, number one, don't listen to anybody who has not done what it is you're trying to do. That's one. Number two, you look for where you're being just like everybody else, and you eliminate that immediately. I mean, kill it dead right now. I don't care how much money's tied into it. I think you honestly need to start right there and say, listen, if I can't hire a Dave Anderson to come coach me or show me where my holes are in my business, what I need to do is say, what is it that I'm doing that everybody else is doing that sucks? Let me get rid of that. How can I bring more value to everybody else immediately? I don't care what it is. When I go and I do TV, I'll do weird things. Like I'll go and I'll put patches all on my shirt or my jacket of people who have sponsored me or people who are sponsoring initiatives for my nonprofit. And I'll do that because nobody else is going to walk in like that. And I look like a really fat NASCAR driver, but it gets people to talk. And then it gets people to notice. And then I start telling them, hey, these are all black CEOs. And then all of a sudden the conversation goes from ha, 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 ha to oh. That is what happens when you destroy the box and make it your footstool. So that's what I would do. I would focus on innovation. I would focus on creating a dynamic message, and I would focus on dominating the competition by doing the things that they would never be bold enough to do. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Hey, Dave, this is Candace. Thank you just for the real talk, So not only did you crush the box, you destroyed it, understanding that when you talk about your mind and your body is in the same space, they are not separate. But one of the things you talked about beyond the innovation with what you have done in the course and helping people, you made reference about tradition, and I talk about standard operating procedures often. So when you talk about don't let your business fall to, don't allow your business to fall to victim to your traditions that we have been taught. So those are your beliefs and what was taught to you. What are some of the things innovatively and, that we can do, maybe not innovatively, but that we can do to break some of those traditions so you can get up out of that box and not feel like you're stuck there without knowing what to do based on your belief system?
Candace, Camille, you always ask very, very brilliant questions. I'm always amazed by what you come up with. So allow me to give a less than brilliant answer. I believe it is extremely important that you do like a Muppet. See, my favorite Muppet is not Kermit, it's not Animal, it's not Gonzo, it's not Miss Piggy, it's not Fozzie Bear, I don't Waka Waka. My favorite Muppet is Yoda. Yoda from Star Wars. He's an ancient creature who lives out in the Dagobah system. And Yoda said, watch your feelings. Your feelings will betray you. And what I see happening is people feel that they can't do something. They feel like they're stuck in a box. Well, if you feel like you're stuck in a box and you feel like you can't do something, then you've already lost. I feel like I am the greatest thing that my mother and father have ever created. I'm also the only thing my mother and father have ever created. But aside from that, I don't believe that there's anybody who does what I do the way that I do it, because I don't think anybody else was called to do what I do the way that I do it. Otherwise, what am I here for? I believe in my unique gift more than I believe in my limitations. And a wise man once told me, once you fight for your limitations, then you get to keep them. So here's what you do, because I want to leave you with actions, not just soundbite quotes. Write it down. Write down the things that you want to make happen. And then give yourself a pro list and a con list. What would happen if these things actually happen? And what are the cons that are keeping you from allowing these things to happen? And then one by one, you act like Uma Thurman and Kill Bill, and you start erasing the cons. You start eliminating them, no matter how painful it is, no matter who gets ticked off, no matter how much it costs you, you've got to eliminate those cons. Because then, once you've eliminated all the excuses, and once you've eliminated all the options, the only option is success. So that's how you do it. At least that's how I do it.
All right, Dave. I love how you can speak and weave and movie and song references and the way you can communicate. I love it. I love how you do that. We have a caller. Caller has a question. Caller, you have 30 seconds to give a question or a comment to Dave. Stephanie Barnes, how long do they have?
They got 30 seconds. They got 30 seconds to get a shout out to their mom and them. They got 30 seconds to talk about how great everything is. They got 30 seconds to ask a question. Get off mute. Get the background noise. They got 30 seconds.
I think it's clear. The last four digits of the number are 7647. You are on, Dave Anderson.
Hey, Dave. This is Lachelle, South Indiana.
Hey.
My question is, Hey, so my question is, after developing a YouTube channel that is successful, has a lot of followers, what are some of the things that come next, right? What are maybe 2 or 3 things that people can do after developing a successful YouTube channel?
After you develop, or I'm sorry, let me try that a different way, because you said after. I would never say after. I would say while you're developing your successful YouTube channel, you need to start with your podcast. You need to start creating so much content, and I mean real content. Now, there are people who want to argue, especially a lot of these nouveau coaches who say, oh, well, you don't need a podcast. You don't need this, that, and the third. But here's what you're missing. The reason that I'm able to write so many books so fast is because all I do is I go back and I'll transcribe content from a video. I'll transcribe content from a podcast. I'll transcribe content from an interview. I'll take a quote from a meme and make a whole chapter out of it. You have to have enough content so that your content will live on after you. Because what winds up happening is we're starting to see that there are people who don't mess with YouTube at all. Their whole day is consumed with Facebook. There are people who don't mess with Facebook as much. So they're all Instagram people. Now, these people aren't wrong. That's like saying, you know, I'm a Tupac person or I'm a Biggie person. Me personally, I'm a T.I. person. I like T.I. T.I. makes me want to go punch people in the mouth. Like, hey, big things popping. I'm a T.I. person. Are they all great rappers? Absolutely. But guess what? Everybody has their preferences. And rather than fight their preferences because you're trying to build one channel at a time, I believe that we are the most creative and innovative people on the planet who can do more at once than we're giving ourselves credit for. You can walk, you can chew gum, you can cook, you can talk to your kids, tell them, sit your ass down while you're still on the phone having a business conversation. You can build a successful YouTube channel. You can build a Tumblr account. I know some of y'all are scared to death of Tumblr. What's that? We got more on that tomorrow. You can have a great relationship with Facebook Live. And with Facebook Live and Instagram Live, especially now that you can bring people on, man, you can have your own talk show right on your phone. Like, I feel like we need to take advantage before people get wise and start charging. Because in a year and a half, mark my words, somebody put it on the calendar right now, in a year and a half, Zucks and these other cats, Zucks, Tim Cook, all these cats, they're going to get smart and start charging people for what they're giving away for free right now. They're just getting you used to it. It's what drug dealers do. They give you a sample, and then once you're hooked, oh, well, damn, now you got to pay. So get on there now and establish dominance. When I was, and I'm going to leave you with this so that you can fully understand what I'm saying. When I was in radio, there was a period where a company came after me, and they said, look, Mr. Anderson, we're going to pay you $100,000 to come do this thing. We're calling it on-demand audio. And I said, well, what is it? Well, there are these servers, and you're going to do your show. We're going to upload the show to the servers, and then people are going to download it on these things called MP3 players. And so I'm excited. I'm like, yeah. So I go on my radio station. I'm like, yo, they're going to pay me $100K to go do this, that, and the third. And they're like, oh, kid, that'll never work. Nobody's ever. What is an MP3 player? I ain't got one. You got one? Nope. I ain't got one. You got one? Nope. But I got a BMW. And that same person who told me he has a BMW now has a podcast 17 years later. Because I was willing to do something that I didn't fully understand at the time, no one can take away from me that I was one of the first, if not the first person to be on-demand audio, black or white, before there was an iPod, before there was a podcast. And so sometimes you got to be willing to plant your flag early and just get in there. Even if it fails, who cares? You still may get a customer out of it. You may get a client out of it. So that's what I would do. So, and just also with your YouTube channel, let people know you have other platforms that you're on that they might want to check out. And don't forget the 3 magic words: comment, rate, and subscribe.
All right, now, Dave, we have a question from our very own Akia Taylor. Akia, are you there?
I'm here. Hey, Dave. Good morning, everyone. Quick question. So I know you have your podcast. Good morning. And I know there are a lot of black CEOs out there who are looking to get into podcasting and things like that. Do you have any tips for people who are trying to do what you've done, or how to use that industry and platform for themselves?
Yeah, the first thing I would do is stop listening to the voice in your head. Because what's going to happen is, like, you're going to do it, right? and you'll get there, you'll be all excited, and then you'll listen to the tape, and you'll hate it. Or it won't be perfect, and you'll hate it. Or it won't sound like what you hear on Steve Harvey, even though Steve Harvey has a producer for every day of the week, and you'll hate it. Or no one listens to the first one, and you'll hate it. It took me, God, I honestly think in my lifetime, I've probably done 100,000 pieces of on-demand content in the form of podcasts, in the form of digital downloads that are consumable for free. And it was the Business Bully podcast that hit. So think about it like this. There have been several incarnations of the podcast that made me, I guess, relevant, known, whatever you want to call it. But it was the Business Bully podcast that just started in 2015, going into 2016, that got me on TV, that got me, on national radio shows after being retired from radio. It was that, and you have to be willing to stick with it. And I don't want to hear this argument that, oh, I just have a cleaning business, so a podcast won't work with me. Oh, yeah, that's funny because Ask Stanley Steamer is audio don't work. Because sure enough, they got commercials. A podcast, if you're smart as a Black CEO, you will realize that a podcast is a commercial for you and your business at all times. That never dies. When you buy advertising on radio, once that advertising contract is over with and those commercials have aired, it's gone. Once you buy advertising on a podcast, which is why I sell so much in advertising on a Business Bully podcast, because it stays forever and I show people the value. Now, if you have your own podcast, not only can you promote your business, but you can also get sponsors, and you don't need 236,000 downloads a week like I got. All you need is to say, I have a unique audience, people are listening, and then we shoot that thing out everywhere. And then secrets and things I teach when it comes to podcasting I don't have time to get into right here. But I will say this to you. Those who stick with it and those who get over it not being perfect will win. And I have, I've got a bunch of tools. I actually put some links up in our Black CEO Tribe of things you can do to get started on podcasting for free that are going to bring you a tremendous amount of value that will take the guesswork out of that. So, thanks for that question. You just allowed me to think of something I can do for you guys that I wasn't even thinking about right now.
Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome.
All right, Dave. Dave, I have a question here. Now, we most of us know that the people that are innovative, the people that make things happen are the ones that work against tradition. Why is it that you think that so many people still work in the tradition when we know that that's not the way to go?
Well, let me break it down for you. You're not going to like this. People have gotten mad at me. I have lost jobs, friendships, opportunities for telling you what exactly I'm going to tell you right now. The truth of the matter, my friend, is that we don't control what's cool. We create it, but we don't control it. See, cool is actually a code. It means control over our lives. People love to conform. People don't want to stand out. They want to blend in. They don't want to ruffle any feathers. They don't want to burn any bridges. I have burned bridges, the village, and kidnapped the kids. I don't care about what you think about me. Here's why. No thoughts that matter are going to keep my wife from loving me, going to keep my kids from loving me, going to keep my mama from thinking that I'm great, going to ruin my daddy's memory of me as he went to the grave. So your opinions don't matter. People are imprisoned by opinions of people that don't matter, and so they don't want to innovate. They don't want to stand out because everybody's afraid of being naked. See, when you're out there and you're being bold and there's not a whole gang of people behind you, it's a type of different thing. Public Enemy had a song that said it takes a nation of millions to hold us back. I'm not waiting on a nation of millions. I'm a nation state by myself. And wherever I go, I plant my flag in the sand. I say, boom, this is my country now. You are my people. You will follow me. I don't ask. And I don't apologize for that. I'm not going to kowtow. I'm not going to tap dance. And because of that, I'm successful. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care how many people you know. I'm still Dave Anderson. And nothing you say is going to change that. And most people are not that comfortable with themselves. I've owned my flaws. I understand I'm a little bit fluffy. I understand I'm a little bit bold. I understand I'm real abrasive. But you know what? You know what else is abrasive? Sandpaper. And when sandpaper gets finished with its job, it smooths out the rough spots. Boom.
Well, all right, Dave. So we have another caller here. Caller, you have 30 seconds. The last four digits of the number are 1428. You are on with Dave Anderson.
Hey, Dave. This is Fortune. How you doing, brother? I ain't talked to you in a minute. Hey, my question. What's going on? My question is regarding the podcasting. What would you recommend as far as getting into podcasting? Do you recommend more of a individual just speaking on their own ideas, or you recommend bringing on interview like formats, or a combination of the two? So I'm trying to see where that trend is going. I used to see a lot more that was individual, and now it's more towards interviews, and there's a little mix. What do you think yourself?
Okay, so I have several thoughts on this, but I'll keep it brief. First, it depends on if you're a really good interviewer or not. Because if you suck as an interviewer, you're going to do yourself a disservice. Because what happens is people try to shoot for these guests, and then they get the guests and they can't hold a conversation. I'll give you an example so you understand what I'm saying. When I went to VaynerMedia and I'm sitting down across from Gary Vaynerchuk, and we're talking, and I'm holding him, and like he's running behind schedule. He came into his office to sit down for my interview with him late. We were so locked in with each other that Tim Ferriss, multimillionaire, is outside of this man's glass office waiting to come in to sit down with him. He also wrote the 4-Hour Workweek, and he's sitting there listening up against the glass, listening to our conversation. If you can hold people to the point where it's compelling, by all means, do interviews. The other part of that is I have a strange twitch. When I was a kid, Russ Parr said, "Kid, you know what I like about you?" I said, "No." He said, "You're just like me." I said, "What do you mean, Russ?" He says, radio people, the successful ones, have to have a really strange belief that they're in a room by themselves with nobody around and say, I have a message that's so powerful and so relevant, hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of people will want to hear it. I say that you have a message that people are itching to hear. They just don't know you because they just haven't met you yet, like a Michael Bublé song. So what I would do is I would establish myself by starting my first podcast. I would then go after guests that are important to people and leveraging their audiences, but make sure that you got questions that haven't been asked a bunch of times. The whole, well, tell everybody what it is that you do and what would you recommend for people who want to get into your industry and how do you overcome adversity? Like, dig deeper. Get down to it. When I sat down from Gary Vaynerchuk, the one question I asked him was a question that every black person wanted to ask, but nobody had the nuts to do so. And I said, listen, you ran the Shea Moisture campaign. What happened there? Like, what happened? Like, nobody's asked because you were silent the whole time, and the CEO of Shea Moisture is out doing an apology tour, and I want to know why. So you got to be prepared to ask those questions, because otherwise you're not making any noise. You're just using your voice, and you're just out here like a bunch of other voices in the chorus when you really should be at the front of the stage. I hope that helps.
All right, Dave. Well, before we let you go, man, we want to give you a chance to give the last word and let everyone know how they can get in touch with you and go over that offer you gave for them one more time, please.
All right, no problem. My thoughts before we roll into tomorrow, because tomorrow I'm really going to start ruffling some feathers, is that you don't need anybody's permission to be great. You don't even need mine. What you need is to resolve whatever issues you've had. Listen, you're an adult now. Mom's going to be okay. Daddy's going to be okay. Your spouse is going to be okay, because what you're doing is going to create a legacy for your children and your children's children. And you got to be prepared to create the funnel so that you can have an overflow to then give from. When it comes to the offer, I want you guys to go to bit.ly/bullybag. bit.ly/bullybag. And if you want to reach out to me, I'm always happy to sit down and do one-on-one calls with folks. You can get on my calendar. You can go to bit.ly/bully call. If you notice, everything is bully because that's my brand. Boom. See? Thank you. So, yeah, you can go to bit.ly/bully bag to get the digital grab bag I have for you guys, which is well over $600 in content, 6 hours of amazing stuff there. And if you want to sit down and have a discovery call with me and we can work out some things about your business, I guarantee you it'll be the best thing you've ever done. It's absolutely free, and ain't nobody trying to obligate you in anything, but I want to help businesses understand that I don't care what you do. I don't care if you're selling mobile chitlins. I will find a way to help you make that business more money. So bit.ly/bully call and bit.ly/bully bag, and I'm so honored that you guys let me run my mouth for this long. It really is a pleasure to be able to speak to my people, because I feel like I can speak to my people a little bit differently because y'all understand my tech. You feel me?
Well, we feel you, man. We thank you. Guess what, guys? Dave will be back. Dave will be back, so make sure you tell your friends to listen to the BlackCEO Morning Show so you can hear more of Dave Anderson.
Want free business and marketing tips from Dave? Text Business Bully to 31996. That's Business Bully to 31996. Standard data and text message rates apply.